Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Use Cases of Emerging Technology in PeopleSoft Analytics, OCI, Platform Integrations, and Chatbots. We are joined by our friends at SpearMC. I am Scott Lavery, and I am the head of marketing here at Apcian, and I would like to welcome everyone to the PeopleSoft Innovation Summit, whether this is your first session or your fifth. A lot of people, it's their fifth, so welcome and thanks for sticking with us for the last couple days. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. First of which is everyone is on mute and the session is being recorded, and we'll make sure to post the recording on the registration landing page that everybody registered here in the next week or so. We'll also be posting to YouTube and we'll send that information at the same time. The session today will be 60 minutes in length with Q&A. So if you do have questions, we encourage you to put those in the questions section of the control panel on the right side of your screen. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand things over to Cameron to begin today's presentation. Cameron?
All right, thanks a lot. Very happy to be with you guys today. Good afternoon. We are happy to be a participant in this summit. We are a big fan of Apcian and are a gold partner with them. And so we're very pleased to be able to participate. We threw a bunch of topics into this session. So I don't know how many of them everybody wants to see, but I'm hoping that you want to see at least one of them. But we threw a bunch of topics in. Want to make sure you got your money's worth, although we note that this is a free event, so take it for what it's worth. Anyway, very happy to be with you today. As Scott mentioned, we are SpearMC. We've been around for quite a long time. You've probably heard of us in the PeopleSoft world. Started in 2004 in San Francisco and expanded across the United States. Have been doing PeopleSoft work for quite some time, and we're somewhat synonymous with PeopleSoft. We've actually doubled down, while many other our competitors or peers, I should say, have gone to other areas and other software platforms and packages. We are saying, hey, we are all about PeopleSoft, and we're going to stick with PeopleSoft. You can see some of our services here with respect to hosting, managed services. PeopleSoft is our bread and butter, and we have very pleased to be recognized in the 2021 Gartner Market Report for OCI Professional and Managed Services due to our presence in that space. So we're just pleased to be with you. My name is Cameron. I'm gonna introduce myself as part of my section, which will be the OCI section. We are going to be joined by three of my colleagues who each have their own areas, and that'll be Randy Johnson, who will talk about platform integrations, Logesh, who will talk through chatbots, and then Gary is going to talk through advancements in analytics in the PeopleSoft space. Each of them will introduce themselves as part of their sections. So with that, we're going to get right into the first topic, and it's going to be PeopleSoft and OCI. So my name is Cameron McClurg, as I mentioned. I've been doing PeopleSoft work for over 20 years. I started in with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure about 3 years ago, and really, I never really was an infrastructure or technical person. I always was more on the functional side. I was really in your shoes for many of the years. Only joined the consulting world the last couple of years. Prior to that, I was running PeopleSoft support and implementations group within organizations, worked at some large organizations here in Seattle, where I'm from. And so I've been doing PeopleSoft a long time. Also did Hyperion when I was there working as an employee. And so now I have certifications both in PeopleSoft, Hyperion, as well as Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. As I mentioned, I lead our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure practice here at SpearMC. And as I mentioned, very pleased to been recognized here in January on the Gartner report. So very pleased about that. If you want more information, email me or call me, and I'll give you all sorts of information about the Gartner report. Although I can't send it to you legally. All right, PeopleSoft and OCI. So let's talk about the latest sort of updates with what it looks like to run PeopleSoft on OCI. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the value proposition of PeopleSoft on OCI. I'll also talk a little bit about the OCI updates and advancements that you get as part of the OCI platform as well, that you won't get on other platforms or on-prem. But let's start with the number one reason why you should be thinking about PeopleSoft on OCI, and that's PeopleSoft Cloud Manager. PeopleSoft Cloud Manager is its own application that you pay for already, whether you are on-prem, whether you're on Azure, AWS, it doesn't matter. You pay as part of your maintenance agreement with Oracle. Some of those dollars are funding the development of PeopleSoft Cloud Manager, which is an application that sits on OCI and it manages your other PeopleSoft instances. So there's a direct relationship or a direct download of all the updates that you would get, whether those are People Tools updates, PUM image updates, all of that comes downloaded specifically and directly into PeopleSoft Cloud Manager through a subscription model. No downloading of images or downloading of large packages across the internet. All that comes into your PeopleSoft Cloud Manager, and you can then apply it to your other instances. So it really manages the life cycle of your other PeopleSoft environments. So it makes it very easy to say, I want to apply this patch, this PeopleTools patch, to this test environment or this dev environment. We want to test it, and then we want to roll it out to production. All of that is really now a push of a button. It's the entire management of PeopleSoft is not quite that easy. So our system administrator friends and our database analysts are not quite out of the woods just yet. They're still very much involved with the application, building the application, managing it. But PeopleSoft Cloud Manager really makes it very easy for them to do that management. Once you're on PeopleSoft Cloud Manager, it really makes the elasticity, patching, security, it makes it all very easy and through a front-end ability to manage all that through that front-end Cloud Manager. So for example, if you want to scale up the image of one of your PeopleSoft environments because you need more horsepower, very easy to do that from elasticity perspective. The Cloud Manager itself manages all of those automated features, so things like backup and restore, where typically with on-prem or other cloud providers, you'd have to do that manually through the back end. PeopleSoft Cloud Manager offers that from the front end for you, as well as StartStop, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. The StartStop feature not only takes the PeopleSoft environment offline, it actually takes the compute services offline too, which then prevents you from having to pay for it. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in a second. So tools updates, cloning environments from a template, taking that one environment and saying, I want to create a second environment. All of that is through Cloud Manager, very easy to do. Also comes with a lift and shift utility, so you can download a package on-prem, package up all of your home directories, all the customizations, all of that gets packaged up, pulled into the cloud, into PeopleSoft Cloud Manager, and then implemented into your environments. And so that the utility allows for, in some of the latest features in Image 11 that came out last summer, allow for a zero downtime migration, which is fantastic. Moving definitely in this direction of very easy to import, very easy to manage in the cloud. So very excited about that. By the way, Image 12 of the PeopleSoft Cloud Manager is not out yet. We expect that to be out soon. And if you look at some of the planned features, really cool things coming with respect to support for autonomous database, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in a second here. So specifically, I want to highlight a real use case here. So the ability to automatically start and stop services using PeopleSoft Cloud Manager is going to save you money. This is not a theoretical thing. What you're looking at is an actual savings of money for one of our PeopleSoft environments. So by implementing a start-stop script that says, I want my non-prod environments to be up during work hours and down outside of work hours, which makes sense for non-prod environments. If you do the math, that ends up being around 76% savings on those compute costs. Now here, you can't turn off the block storage, so you still have to pay for storage, but the actual savings around compute services is pretty tremendous, and usually compute services is one of your largest services that you're paying for. It's basically your servers. You're taking those servers offline. So really that automation that you can just put in a script and turn those services off, real use case here that you can actually take advantage of. And by doing that, you can really save money by moving to the cloud. So let's talk about OCI as a platform and some of the features that you get when you move to OCI, because you're not just getting infrastructure as a service, you actually get the platform as a service as well. So what are the features on the platform that you get to take advantage of when you move PeopleSoft to OCI? So the first thing to talk about is the Oracle Database Cloud Service. So you can simply migrate from your on-prem licensing model to a subscription model database, the Database Cloud Service, the Oracle Database Cloud Service. So you get a couple things with that. First off, you can look at the economics of it. You can still bring your own license if you want to, but if you move over to the subscription model, we've found that people can save quite a bit of money this way by moving to the subscription model. So that's one thing to look at, is using the service. That service, the Database Cloud Service, actually automates some of the management of that database as well in ways that it wouldn't if you just used it as infrastructure and just installed your database on the infrastructure. The second thing is they're moving towards this autonomous concept. So autonomous Linux is, or I should say Linux in general, is the operating system that usually you put your web server, your app server, or at least you can do that. You can run all Windows servers as well, but we find a lot of people are moving to Linux or are already on Linux. And so moving to the cloud, you get to take advantage of autonomous Linux, which means no more downtime for patching, doing all of the CPUs, all that stuff for Linux. All that stuff happens in an autonomous way. Same thing with database. The autonomous database now allows you to automatically patch and tune in ways without downtime. We're very excited about that. I will tell you that PeopleSoft, while PeopleSoft is certified for autonomous database and autonomous Linux, Cloud Manager itself doesn't support autonomous database yet. We expect that to come in the next version. So we hope that that will be out very soon. Oracle Digital Assistant, which you'll hear a little bit more in the chatbot section, but here's another feature on the platform you get to take advantage of when you move to OCI. You can actually take advantage of this on-prem as well. But the movement towards this, if you had on-prem, you'd still have to have a cloud tenancy to support the digital assistant. So by bringing your application onto OCI, you get to just tap into that platform digital assistant. And Logesh is going to talk a little bit more about chatbots later on. Load balancing. So if you're ever familiar with, purchasing or licensing an F5 load balancer on-prem, I'm sure you get some great features with that. But when you move to OCI, you simply just say, I want to use a load balancer, and you just get it. There's no large capital or licensing cost for that. It's just a service that you get, and it allows for you to create this failover redundancy with respect to managing your web servers, your app servers, et cetera. So a load balancing, just a feature that you just get with the OCI tenancy. Last thing I'll mention as a platform service is the Oracle Management Cloud. This is a platform service that is somewhat agnostic to the application, but there is ways that you can set it up to create agents that work on those servers and can monitor things like CPU utilization, RAM usage, all of that. All of those agents are basically, those little Java agents are watching for those features and bringing it back together in an aggregated dashboard that allows you to manage the performance of PeopleSoft on the cloud. And so this is a fantastic way to actually monitor the health of your servers on OCI. Again, something that only is going to exist on OCI. So let's talk a little bit more about cost management. So I mentioned before about how you can manage the start-stop features. OCI gives you a great cost management tool, allows you to get real granular with where your costs are coming from and looking at that and managing those costs. Really important to really manage your costs on cloud. Otherwise, the economics of moving to cloud don't really work. So you have to really manage this very closely. One part of the cost management that I like is the budgets. And this is a real use case here, again, of looking at the budgetary spend for a customer that we've got here. And by turning on a budget, what that allows me to do is say, I want to be notified when my spend is forecasted to go over a certain amount. So here you can see a non-prod, very simple to set this up and say, I want to know when my spend is going to reach a threshold of $1,000 in the forecast, not actual forecast. So this will tell me really early on in the month that it looks like you're going to hit that threshold of $1,000. I get a very simple email that comes out. I'm switching back and forth between production and non-production. This is a non-production one, but it tells me, okay, you're forecasted. It looks like your threshold at $100. You're gonna spend more than $100 in this one compartment for non-prod. So a really easy way to notify me and use that automated feature to tell me when there's going to be an issue. Quotas is something that you can turn on to prevent a unauthorized or accidental implementation or turning on of a feature that's going to be very costly to you. So here, what I've done is I've turned off the ability to turn on GPU or dense compute services. But for training purposes, I allow us to have one specific dense service in one of my compartments. And so you can come into that one compartment and see that even though that normally there would be 2,000 compute services of this dense nature that are available to me by Oracle. Oracle's allowing me to turn this on. I don't want to turn it on because there's no point in doing that. I want to make sure we don't accidentally turn on and get a major big charge, after the month. So here you can see that we did that thing called a quota, and it limits my my ability to do that. So it's kind of helping me help myself. Cloud Advisor is a new feature that basically looks for potential inefficiencies and allows you to take corrective action. So in this case, it's telling me that I've got $54 of estimated savings if I take action. And what are those actions? Well, you've got unattached block volumes that are you can turn off, and that will save me $54. This is an actual use case here that I took a look at this the other day, and I mentioned over to my system admin, and I said, hey, can you take a look at this? And so he looked at it, said, yep, you're right. We got to go clean that up. So he cleaned it up, and we should be now finding that cost savings. That's all within this feature called Cloud Advisor, just free for you to use once you're on the platform. Last thing I'm going to talk about, CloudGuard, new feature as of fall of 2020. What this does is this is an automated detection and response feature from a security perspective. So what am I talking about? You would first associate a target, and that target might be a specific compartment or a set of compartments. That target then has a detector rule called a recipe that says, I'm looking for specific things. Here in this one, it says, I'm looking for suspicious IP activity. And there's an algorithm behind that that says, here's what I'm looking for when I consider a user logged in from a known list of malicious IP blocks, okay? And what you can do with this is not just detect it, but you can automate the response. So here you can see that there's an automated response that's linked to that suspicious IP activity. So you see the specific detection says, if I see something from this IP block, I want to disable that user. And so this can be actually turned on. And so it's actually a step in the right in this direction of automated security, which is fantastic and something you've never been able to do on-prem or on other cloud environments. So we're real excited about this. You got to be careful with this, of course, because you don't want to accidentally turn things off if you have it turned up a little bit too tightly. So you want to be careful about that. But it's a fantastic new feature. Again, just delivered as part of OCI. And that's it. I'm going to take my 20 minutes and I'm going to turn it over to Randy, who's going to talk about platform integrations. We'll have some time at the end if you have any questions on OCI. So let me just give the mouse control over to Randy, and you are good to go, Randy.
Awesome. Mouse and keyboard control. I'll test it now. Cameron, thank you. He gave the rest of us 10 minutes, by the way. Just that seems to be the rule here at SpearMC. Whoever talks first gets the largest chunk of the pie. My keyboard, let's see if it's working. Uh-oh, hold on.
Can you click through? There we go.
Yep, there we go. Thank you. That's me. I'm standing as far back from my webcam as I can to hide the fact that my hair isn't quite that dark anymore. I've been with SpearMC, gosh, I'm going on my 5th year, I think, and it's been a great ride. I'm a CPA by training and have focused on PeopleSoft for a good chunk of my career, almost 75%. So it seemed to be a really good marriage, myself and SpearMC, and thrilled to be here. And my title is actually Vice President now. I'm not to brag or anything, but I got to start updating my my bio slides. I'm going to be talking about the unified navigation. So integrations and features that PeopleSoft delivers. This one is specific to integrating and giving you a single unified navigation experience if you have more than one PeopleSoft pillar, right? So if you've got Campus Solutions and HCM, or Campus Solutions, HCM, Financials, this gives you a unified look and feel, okay? And I'll skip the wordy side and I'll get into the details. This did exist. So the fact that we're calling it emerging technologies is a little bit of a cheat, and I'll admit that. It's emerging for two reasons. I'll get to the second in about 4 slides, but the main reason is you used to have to buy a module or a pillar called the Interaction Hub to be able to have a single unified navigation across pillars of PeopleSoft. And you needed to configure the Interaction Hub almost as if it was its own module, its own portal, and you needed to do web development and web page development on that portal to be able to use it in a unified way. And then once PeopleTools 856 came along, Oracle actually made unified navigation free as a part of your existing PeopleTools license. So anyone on this call, obviously you're here for PeopleSoft, if you're at 856 or beyond, you don't need the previous license. You've got it now for unified navigation. So all you need to do is figure out how to configure it. There is in actually image, I think it was 21 or 22, a new fluid homepage was delivered that gives you the configuration steps. So you can use that to walk through the configuration of the portal. You do need to pick one of these, and I did leave out one of the options, which is the Enterprise Learning Management module. Any one of the 5 pillars, if you will, can serve as your portal. You set up the base portal, and then all of your other instances, they point to the portal. Just one word of advice: you do usually want to have whichever of the instances you have that is most current and is first to get its PeopleTools upgrades. Pick that one to be your portal. You want it to be as current or the most current of all of the applications or all of the pillars that are pointing to it. So that was available in 856. Why do you do this? Why would you implement it? Well, it's great for users. Single point of access for everything I do as a user. And that's actually true for managers as well. Any user of PeopleSoft, if you think about it. And it uses authentication with a single sign-on. Presumably, you're all interested or are already customers of Appsian. So we encourage you, if you aren't a customer using their SSO tool, to talk to them about SSO. It hopefully is intuitively obvious that if you're going to have a single navigation, you need to be able to log on with a single user ID password combination, okay? What happens is our data, our user data, is synchronized across the platforms. It's federated everywhere when you enter it in the one portal. And then obviously your access to any pages, content, remote content references, resources, these are all federated so that you have one point to interact with all of these features and functions. The beauty is that your cross application related content services can be deployed, so you can have related content queries embedded on pages in financials that reference your HCM data, in Campus Solutions that reference your employee status if you happen to be an employee, also a student at a university. All right, so what does the user experience look like? Well, we've seen the fluid home pages, but what we've got here is an employee self-service homepage, but we've got financials access, so e-procurement expenses, service requests. We've got HCM tiles that link to HCM pages, and then we've got pages that cross all pillars, your personal details, all in one navigation, one spot for the user to go and click. All of their most commonly accessed features and functions are available to you on a single homepage. And then on the navigation experience, let me back up, that's next. Our unified user preferences, what we're gonna see here is your general settings that are across are federated to all. Your HCM and your financials are all recorded, stored, and tracked all within the single point of storage on the My Preferences screen. So My Preferences sees all of the pillars that are linked. And then the navigation, if you're using the nav bar for navigation, you have options. We set ours up so that the route for HCM, we set ours up in financials, and we set it up so that the route for all HCM menu paths would be driven under the HCM unified navigation link. You could choose to have all of them under one route and see every menu all together. We kept them separated just for cleanliness, because when we're doing a lot of demos, we do it with VP1-like access. So we have unlimited menu access. But in this case, all we would need to do is drill into the HCM unified navigation. We have all our HCM menu options, or anything that is common in employee self-service, manager self-service, and I'll show you that in a second. And then, of course, my financials navigation as well. So for managers, we get a great experience. What we see here, and I didn't get the highlights called out on this page, approvals, I'm going to go to the next page where we see the approvals are actually combined across pillars. But if I go to the expenses work center or time and labor work center, quite frequently as a manager, both tiles are here. It's really the same story that we saw for employee self-service, this time on a manager self-service page. When we go into the approvals, the fluid approvals, we're going to see all of the approvals that exist that are related to financials as well as HCM are all out there waiting for my approval in one tidy little fluid approval center. And I can sort, filter by type. I have one point of access for all of my approvals. So bottom line, we highly encourage you to look into activating this. There is a delivered activity guide that is built in the dashboard that is available for application configuration specialists. Okay, so go check that out. It's a brand new homepage, application configuration specialists. Configure Unified Navigation is out there. And if you need any help, we're always available to be there to pitch in. I think that might be it for my section. Cameron, we're on to you. Take the keyboard back.
Okay, sorry, I was on mute there. All right, let me see. Do I need to do something to get it back from you? Okay, let me do it like that.
Looks like you got it back from me.
All right, I think we're good. All right, Logesh is up next, and I think we're doing just fine on time, about halfway through. So Logesh, you can take your time, and I'm gonna pass over to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Cameron. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to Cameron and Randy, both very informative topics. Next is, my name is Logesh Balasubramaniam, and I'm a managing director with SpearMC, and I have been working with PeopleSoft Consulting for around 17 years now. Emerging technology is one of my favorite areas, and specifically the topic for today, the chatbots and Oracle digital assistants, that are one of my key focus areas. So we'll, without much delay, we'll get started with that. All right, so consider this slide as like a cheat sheet to what is available out of the box for PeopleSoft chatbots. So First of all, there are pretty much completely fully configured delivered chatbot skills that is available for both HR and finance applications. There are 7 chatbots that are listed here. Within each of those chatbot skills, there are a variety of actions that a user can do. Of course, we don't have to deep dive into every single aspect here, but at a high level, be aware that both for PeopleSoft HR and finance, there are multiple skills that are completely delivered out of the box. In addition to those delivered chatbot skills, there is also a concept called application services framework that is entirely newly built for the purpose of chatbots on top of the PeopleTools platform, PeopleTools integration broker based platform. Now, what that allows you to do is essentially extend this delivered chatbots or even create completely new chatbot skills from the ground up. So for product pillars like ELM and CRM PeopleSoft customers who are using those product pillars, you can use that application service framework to build a chatbot from ground up as well. Complete documentation information about how to go about that and build your own chatbots is also available on the PeopleSoft portal. Now, to make use of all of this, customers needs to be on PeopleTools version 857.07 or above that. And there are 2 components to it. One is the technology framework, and another is the application functionality providing module-specific chatbots. So for individual product pillars, you need to be on a certain version and above to make use of these delivered chatbots. Now, this list is a fluid list. What I mean by that is with every new update image on HR, finance, CRM, and ELM, there are new enhancements to these delivered skills and completely new skills being released as well. So this continues to vary. In addition to that, one of the most important aspects, most interesting feature that's going to be out very soon in the next few months is the first digital assistant for PeopleSoft. So what that means is that all the chatbots that are available right now are more modular, addresses a specific module-based functionality, be it benefits, expenses, or requisition. Now, this digital assistant is essentially a step where multiple of these chatbots, all of these chatbots can be orchestrated from within a single place. So relating this back to what Randy was covering in terms of unified navigation, consider this Oracle Digital Assistant or the PeopleSoft Digital Assistant to be like a unified chatbot-based interaction with the PeopleSoft application. Now, that's significantly important because the real world conversation is never going to be modular. A user who may want to request or submit an expense may want to check their benefit policy. We can't expect users to be going to one application, one chat window to be querying about something and going to a completely different place to be doing something else. So this digital assistant for PeopleSoft is a significant improvement where the digital assistant will automatically orchestrate the communication between these multiple skills. If you ask a question that is about your benefits, it would query the benefit skill. If you ask a question something about your expenses, it will automatically route it to the expense skill. And all of this done using the artificial intelligence, machine learning aspects of it. We don't have to configure or program any of this aspect. So that's planned for release in the next few months. So altogether, this gives you an idea about what is available out of the box right now and coming up in the next few months. Let me move on to the next slide. All right, so when I talk about these chatbot skills that are available out of the box, let's have a quick look at what is needed to make use of these chatbots, right? As I already mentioned, these chatbot skills that are currently available out of the box are modular. They perform certain specific function related to a module. And these chatbots are both inquiry based. You can ask a lot of information from it and also use it to update some of the information. They provide both that bi-directional communication and both read and write the application. Now, the installation process associated with the chatbots itself is very straightforward. There are 2 aspects to this installation, one on the PeopleSoft side and one on the Oracle Cloud Platform Service called Oracle Digital Assistant. And that Oracle Digital Assistant is a subscription-based platform service for which the customer needs to buy a subscription For PeopleSoft customers, there are two different kinds of subscriptions available. One specific to PeopleSoft usage, that you want to deploy people's chatbots for the PeopleSoft application. You can opt for one method of licensing. Or if you're looking at using chatbots for applications that are outside of PeopleSoft, that you want to provide a more enterprise-wide chatbot experience, then there is a separate licensing method available for customers who are interested in more enterprise-wide usage. Once you have subscribed to the ODA licenses, there is no additional servers or licenses needed on the PeopleSoft side to make use of this chatbots. As I said before, there are some minor configuration and installation steps, but does not require any new additional servers or licensing. Once again, I don't want to spend too much time in terms of the detailed walkthrough of the installation steps, but consider it something like we have done it both on our internal servers and for a couple of customers who are in the early stages of prototyping. The installation process is pretty straightforward and takes less than a day to get up and running with the delivered chatbots. Let me just move on to the next one in here. In terms of the benefit value proposition of what these chatbots offer, of course, the first and the most straightforward item is it offers a completely different interactive, engaging user experience to the end users of the application. Of course, primarily aimed at your self-service users. Now, not just that, one of the consistent feedback that we have received with the customers who are early adopters of this chatbot functionality is how it provides a unified experience, like a single place to go to get all of their work done when they are looking for a specific modular aspect. For example, let's take an example of a benefits chatbot, a benefit assistant. Within that benefit assistant chatbot, you can directly go in there, check your current benefits, who are the dependents you have enrolled, what are the beneficiaries you have enrolled. If you want to make a change, you can do all of that activity from that single simple window, instead of navigating to multiple application pages, reading information and trying to change that information. So when we talk about user experience, it's about providing a positive feedback loop to the user that their activity is being heard and recorded, and also more importantly, ability to get it done in a much faster time frame. So the user experience aspect is the most biggest impact of this chatbots. And of course, what comes along with that is, of course, more reduced training needs. Whenever there is a new functionality that you need to release to your end users, the amount of training needed is a lot more reduced with chatbots, because you typically don't train your users to have conversations to someone. So it's essentially, when, let's say, if you already have a benefit assistant chatbot or an expense chatbot that is up and running, and you're adding a new way of submitting your expenses or doing your open enrollment, then there is no additional need to train your employees. You just need to know, they just need to know that these functionalities are available, and they can work with the chatbot themselves to get familiarized with that. And the third most important aspect, which is a big value add that the platform, Oracle Digital Assistant platform, offers, is the ability to have robust question and answers built out using the chatbot. So your chatbots are not just used for performing certain actions. They can be used as a simple Q&A tool where many of the frequently asked questions can be configured, various answer options can be configured, so the employees don't have to call somebody or submit a service request to get some information. Information such as policy related, it may not be system related. While submitting an absence request, an employee may want to know what are their absence policies, long-term leave policies, state absence policies, federal leave policies, etc. And all of them could be combined into a single place, so using the FAQ functionality. So all these are the business value proposition of using these chatbots. Let me quickly go on to next item in here. I'm having some trouble. All right. In terms of the deployment and extension use cases, so we spoke about a little bit about what is delivered out of the box. The delivered chatbots are fully functional. When we deploy it using the digital assistant platform, you can get it up and running and use it in a sort of a production mode. They are fairly functional chatbots. In addition to that, what customers can do and would also help them if they do those activities are, in terms of training the chatbots to be accustomed to more customer specific and industry specific terminologies. For example, there might be a specific terms that you may use when you're talking about benefits. I know a customer is has different kinds of benefits for associate employees versus full-time part-time employees. So those terminologies that are customer specific, industry specific, can be trained in the chatbot, so they understand when we talk about benefit eligibility, what is the information to pick up. And customers who are using a more global usage, who have PeopleSoft running across multiple regions, different languages, can of course train the chatbots to be multilingual and respond to questions in different languages as well. All this would fall under the terminology called utterances, where you're basically training your chatbot to be a lot more flexible than what it is delivered with, just expanding its scope of usage, understanding of your terminologies. The second aspect is the Q&A or the FAQ feature, which I just mentioned about, extremely useful for functionalities that are on the periphery of what it is intended for. Just to make it clear, let's say you have an expense chatbot to submit expenses. In addition to that, it can answer all of your expense related questions that the employee may have. So you could build out this robust Q&A that would be pretty much become a single point of contact for all expense related questions. A significant cost saving when you consider the support costs that you're avoiding using the chatbots. The third aspect is the intent. Intent is essentially the intention or the activities that a primary chatbot can perform. For every single delivered chatbot, there are various capabilities that are built in. For example, for an expense chatbot, you can query your past expenses. You can gain more information about your specific expense reports, etc. Let's say in addition to that, if you want to add on something to that, the application services framework that is delivered in PeopleSoft allows you to do that. You can enable your chatbot to do more things using the standard PeopleSoft framework like component interfaces and web services. Use that to build out more functionality. And both the ODA platform and the PeopleSoft application platform fully supports that extension capability. It is not customizing, it's basically extending the delivered functionality. And finally, the channels. The delivered channel for PeopleSoft chatbots is the web channel, where within the PeopleSoft application, you are invoking the chatbots using a window, and the customer or the user interacts using that window. However, that is just one way of multiple channels that are available using the Oracle Digital Assistant platform. PeopleSoft also has a red paper to talk about how to deploy your chatbot using an SMS channel or text messaging channel using the Twilio service. In addition to that, there are other channels such as Teams, Slack, Webhook, where it allows the chatbot to be deployed on various platforms that your employees are already engaged in. Let's say if you're using your Microsoft Teams as your internal platform for all internal discussions and meetings, your chatbots and PeopleSoft chatbots can be deployed onto that. And there are customers who are already doing that using Teams, which is one of the most widely used enterprise interaction tool. So all those options are available, and these are part of the license, as part of the ODA license that you are purchasing. There's nothing additional to it as well. I think with that covers the use cases that we want to talk about for the chatbots functionality, and I'll hand it over. Cameron, do you need to do anything to get the control back?
I think we're good. So let's move on to analytics with Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Great job, Randy, Logesh, Cameron. I got a tough act to follow here, but I think I got it covered. So a little bit about me. My name's Gary Dranikoski. I'm a director with SpearMC. I've been doing PeopleSoft and analytics for the last 20 years. I really started out in the PeopleSoft space, moved into analytics and reporting through their EPM product, and then went directly to OBIEE and spent a lot of time there for several years. Even had a couple girlfriends, got away from PeopleSoft and had EBS as a source, but always found my way back to PeopleSoft. And in 2019, I joined SpearMC right at about the time that Kibana was introduced into the PeopleSoft stack. And that was a great place for me to really dig my feet in and establish an area of practice for myself at SpearMC, being my background in analytics. So I will talk today specifically about Kibana. But before we get started, this is a reference card that I put together that really lists out the 6 core reporting tools that are available within PeopleSoft. And this is a great takeaway for anybody who's here to look at each one of these areas, in the rows, whether you have a lot of data or you need speed, you need notifications, all the way down to real-time data in Excel, right? And then which tool within the PeopleSoft stack is the correct tool. So there's a wide spread here, a lot of green, a lot of red in each column, right? So that said, let's focus in on the analytical tools on the right side. You've got Pivot Grids and Kibana. So a few years ago, Pivot Grids came out, but their biggest challenges, you can see at the top, were the large data sets and the speed. That is literally where Kibana excels. And on the next few slides, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but just wanted to point out the reference and where Kibana, provides capabilities that the other tools didn't really deliver on. So the evolution of the Kibana product, or actually the Elastic Stack, which Kibana is part of. So you may have heard of the ELK stack or ELK stack. These are all products from the Elastic company, and those 3 products are Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. Elasticsearch is a search capability tool, right? And hopefully everybody that's here in the PeopleSoft world is familiar with that. Secondly, Logstash is a way to ingest data in, and that is something that PeopleSoft is now using within their tools, specifically in PeopleTools 858. So PeopleSoft delivered a new health center, and that health center uses Logstash and then provides visualizations through Kibana. And then finally Kibana, which is the visualization tool. So how all this happened was in 855, Elasticsearch was offered as an option for your search utility within PeopleSoft. 856, SES, which was the old search utility, that was actually replaced completely with Elasticsearch. By 857, Kibana was introduced to PeopleSoft. And I don't know how many folks ended up using those Kibana dashboards in 857, but they were for system administrators and a limited amount of performance metrics. Then in 858, all of this really changed. That is where Kibana became available to report on application data, and they enhanced that performance or that system data with the health center using the Logstash. So really 2 great capabilities. Out of the box, the health center is available. Anybody who purchases 858 or implements upgrades to 858, you have that. You also have the ability to build these reports and visualizations in 858. Then to take that a step further, with each of the PUMs that come out, Oracle is now releasing additional content. So dashboards, pre-built content, and the ability really to embed these Kibana analytics and visualizations directly into your PeopleSoft pages and into your processes. So why Kibana? As I just said, these are embedded analytics, powerful visualizations, ability to drill. You can drag to get additional drill downs and filtering on screen. Performance. So why is that so important? Kibana reports against the Elasticsearch indexes. So if you're running a very large report or visualization, some sort of query, it's not hitting your database. It's actually just hitting against those indexes. The ability to do trending across time. One of the things you can do when you're setting up Kibana, you select a time index and you're able then to do trends across time very easily directly in Kibana. There is no additional licensing. So this product, while the Elk Stack or the Elastic company, they have their own set of products. These have been specifically built and delivered with PeopleTools. So you are not having to purchase an additional license. You simply go through the installation and configuration, select yes to install Logstash, to select yes to install Kibana, and obviously you need Elasticsearch as well. The great thing is, underneath those Elasticsearch indexes, most of them are built directly on PeopleSoft queries that filter those, and all query security then gets applied to the data. So you don't have to worry about data security. And this was all part of what Oracle development really did in PeopleTools 8.5.8. Now, if you think back to a few slides when I had all the different tools, at this moment in time, 8.5.8, we can only do at best near real-time data. And what does that mean? The data that you're going to query with Kibana, it's only as recent as the last time you refreshed your search index. So depending on how frequently you're doing that, that's as close to real time you can be. I know development is working on ways to do that in the future, but at this point, that's on the roadmap. So how do you incorporate Kibana into your organization? Well, first and foremost, as I mentioned, you need to be on PeopleTools 8.5.8. The power is in the Logstash in the Health Center dashboard, and then really in the application data and the capabilities there. You want to leverage the delivered content. As I mentioned, with all the PUMs, they are continuing to release new dashboards and visualizations, but on top of that, they're also releasing new search indexes. So as they release new content, that provides more capabilities for you to actually report on. And if you think about it, the Elasticsearch was only there really as a search utility. It wasn't a reporting tool. So you may or may not have reporting columns as part of that index. That is something that they continue to enhance so that you can actually get specific information in your reports. Another thing you may want to do is do a report inventory and analysis. So look at all the reports that you currently use. I mean, do you have hundreds, thousands of reports, queries, everything else? What information can you not access easily? Or what information is your business asking for that maybe takes too long? Maybe it takes you 2 days to get something together. Is that an opportunity where you could provide analytics within Kibana and provide those directly within your PeopleSoft pages? Optimize Elasticsearch. And what I'm referring to there is when you're making changes, if you're developing any new content, think about the Elasticsearch indexes that new data would need to be required in. Is that available? Or include that as part of your development effort if that's something you would want to report on. Last, engage your end users. And those are kind of going together. Think outside the box. But really, talk to your end users. Don't just make this a technical decision, because your end users are the ones who are going to be using these analytics, and it's going to save you from making reporting a technical endeavor and put the power in with the users themselves. I know I only had a few minutes and talked pretty quickly there, but I do think that there was a lot of information across all 4 presenters, and great tools, a lot of stuff available. Cameron, do you want to take it over and handle the questions? I believe we had a few come through.
Yep, and I think I'm going to ask Scott to cherry pick some questions for us.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a few minutes here.
Will do. And Cameron, the first one, it's even addressed to you, and that's for an on-premise PeopleSoft customer running efficiently. They're saying about $250K in maintenance costs. What is the price point that would make sense to move to the cloud?
Probably too complicated to answer quickly here. I would encourage them to connect with me afterwards. 250K of maintenance costs. I'm assuming that means license maintenance with Oracle. It doesn't necessarily tell me much about the hardware footprint. So that's kind of where the analysis usually starts with respect to the analysis of moving to cloud infrastructure. So
Okay.
we do those estimates essentially complimentary for you. So definitely hook up with me afterwards, and I can work with you on that.
Okay. Next question. Is it possible to run finance and supply chain processes from HCM using unified navigation?
Yeah, it is because that's simply navigation into the pages that require you to run these processes. Those would be available to you through your unified navigation. The answer is
Okay.
yes.
I think this is in the same family, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does Digital Assistant have consolidation across pillars like HCM, finance and supply chain, ELM, and CRM all in one?
Yes, it does. So once you deploy the digital assistant functionality that's going to be out soon, you'll be able to pull in skills that are PeopleSoft and even non-PeopleSoft related. So let's say you have a skill that you download from the skill store that is non-PeopleSoft related, you could use it as well. So both all PeopleSoft product pillars and non-PeopleSoft skills as well in one place. Yeah.
Okay. To start talking chatbots here, does chatbot have read-only access?
For the most part, for the 90% of the delivered chatbot functionality is read-only. In customer employees are looking for some kind of information about their usage, their enrollments, etc. There are some chatbots that does write functions, like recruitment chatbot have ability to submit application, for example. But those can be disabled. Every intent, that is every objective within the chatbot, can be selectively enabled or disabled. So a chatbot can be made read-only. But for the 90% delivered chatbots are already read-only.
Okay. And can we retain the chat history in the system and identify it by user?
Partially. The way to look at it is the chatbot or the ODA platform has ability to track and log the chat conversations, either the PeopleSoft conversations or purely the FAQ, and analyze that information. What is the frequently asked questions? What terminologies that the employees are frequently using? But that's anonymous. It's not again attached to a particular user. You're not monitoring what user is asking what question, but you're tracking all of this information for more anonymous analysis. That's available out of the box.
Okay. Very good. I think this next one's for Gary, and that's could we use Kibana to replace all our business object reports?
Depending on where the source of data is, you can, that
Yes.
word all scares me, right? But it could be used definitely to replace some of those business objects reports, and maybe it's a combination of multiple different reports, but something that, we would want to look at that, just determine exactly, what information you are pulling out and where to report.
Okay, very good. Once upgraded to 858, what is the typical level of effort to adopt Kibana for an on-prem finance and supply chain implementation?
I don't think at least from a starter perspective, there's delivered reports and dashboards, and then you can take those and enhance from there. So take what Oracle has, determine what you either can or can't get, and then you may have to modify just the report, or you may have to go back all the way into the actual search framework and make changes to that underlying data model. But it's easy to get up and running. The question is, I think it's just one of those things that's going to evolve over time. And the more you use it, the more that folks love it, they're just going to want more.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, we are just at time. So who would like to provide the parting thoughts? Cameron, is that going to be you?
Sure. I wish I had something really awesome and wise to tell you all, but we're all available. Our email's in the presentation. I'll put something in Slack as well, just to give you my information if you want to connect with me, and if you just want to connect with me to get to these guys, that's good too. If you want to do that, happy to answer questions. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. We packed a lot of content in here on purpose so everybody gets something here. Obviously, we could take any one of these topics and dive in deep. We've done webinars on all these topics for a full hour on each of these. And of course, we can do one-on-one sessions with each of you to talk through in your use case and what that would look like to help you guys out with this stuff. So definitely connect with us, and happy to be able to participate with this, you guys. Have a great day. Turn back to you, Scott.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, everyone.
Want to remind everybody, the official PSFT Summit Slack channel is a good source. Hopefully, all our presenters will join, and then I would encourage anybody to jump in there as well. And yeah, that should be a good place to kind of keep networking beyond this event. So last thing I'm going to say is there will be a survey coming to everybody on Friday. That's going to be discussing today and yesterday's sessions. Any feedback you might have, it's greatly appreciated. We are in the process of planning the next summit, so we are very interested in hearing what you guys are interested in seeing. So with that, we have another 15-minute break, and then we will be back with Gideon Taylor, and we are going to go ahead and finish everything up. And that will be the last session for our second PeopleSoft Innovation Summit. So big thanks to the guys at SpearMC. Thanks, gents. And hopefully we'll see you guys very soon.
All right. Take care.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Thank you.